in Bruges. I've never heard of the city that the entire movie takes place in, but some people think it's a city that they have to visit after they've seen the film, and that's a pretty good sign. I really don't know how to compare this to any city in America. I'm thinking maybe Colonial Williamsburg or something, but it doesn't seem quite so showy. Just an ancient medieval city, or the most preserved medieval city in all of Europe. Now, the stars in this are quite good. I've always liked Brendan Gleeson ever since I saw him in The General almost a decade ago. But this is the movie where Colin Farrell really shines. He's had a dry patch of good movies and of good performances for a few years now, from 4 or 5 years ago when he was considered to be the next great thing. This movie, though, he does really well. He's almost playing against type here, but not quite. But just his comedic performance is wonderful. Just watch his facial expressions throughout the whole film. It's just a great comic role, and there's some tragic notes in it, and some really clever things, some almost surreal comments and stuff in it, and he does it all perfectly. I almost feel like he's back after some of the other movies he's done that just haven't been anywhere near as good. And he plays it, like I said, a little charming, a little dangerous, a little dumb, a little smart, and he's got a weird thing for dwarves, but you'll see the film and understand that one if you haven't already. The writer of this film is a well-known playwright that I'm not familiar with, but he's very well-known in Europe, and the film feels like a play in a lot of ways. There are acts, character reversals, kind of clever endings almost, and all of these work very well in a film, translated to film. I also want to say that where the direction really shines to me was in a couple of places, a small few moments where the film says something without the characters having to say something, and that's rare in films these days. I'm thinking if you've already seen the film, pay attention to the two, or if you haven't, pay attention to the 2 or 3 handwritten notes the characters look at, or Gleason's face before he falls at a scene in the movie, or even there's a little comedic throwaway line about an American having a heart attack. Very clever stuff, and it's kind of the thing you don't see in films, American films to be sure, where everything seems to be so just given to you and written out and spread out. But now, what doesn't work so well, being feeling like a play to a movie, is some of the pacing and the action scene, to be sure, towards the end of the film. Just the guy's not an action director, at least not yet. And the pacing, like I said, kind of feels like there's acts. It kind of gets fast, slow at times, almost like it has like little mini endings to each scene, maybe 3, maybe 4 of them in the film. Just a little awkward to see in a film, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I also kind of want to say what doesn't work is the feel of the film is a little too varied for its own good. It is funny, but so painfully violent and sad at other times, it makes the humor hard to enjoy, and kind of vice versa. I like complicated films, and this is, but I think this one wants to be a little funnier than it is, and a little more exciting than it is, and maybe have the drama hit you a little harder than it does. But I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing this movie too much, because overall it's very enjoyment and different, and I don't get it said often enough in movies, so see you in Bruges. I give it 4 out of 5 stars.